Hello, my friends. Welcome to another exciting episode of Me and My Health Up with your host, Anthony Harcher, a healthy man, according to his kids, aka clinical nutritionist and lifestyle medicine specialist. The purpose of this podcast is to enhance and enlighten your well-being. And today we'll be chatting with a professional organizer and founder of Organise You, Roelene Coleman, on the art of letting go. Don't we all need a little bit of that now, given what we've been through? So you may be thinking, why a professional organizer on a health podcast? Well, how do you feel returning home from a busy day or a hard day's work into a messy, dysfunctional household? Pretty crap, eh? How does it feel when you walk into a clean bedroom? It feels like home. Pretty good, eh? So you probably guessed where I'm going with this. Being organized helps with a feeling of progress, well-being, and happiness. So let's get tidy with Roelene. Before we get started, a little bit about Roelene. Very early on in my life, Roelene realized, not my life, very, very early on in Rolene's life, she realized her knack for organizing and order. She has always practiced these skills in her personal life and the lives of her friends and family. She found that turning a mess into a space of simplicity and order gave her a deep sense of satisfaction. Roelene was able to apply these skills and eye for detail in her professional life, working as an office manager for a small business, as well as a sole trader and a business owner for her previous ventures. What keeps Roelene motivated as a professional organizer is helping people find their feet again by giving them a fresh start, whether it be in their business or home. So here we are with the little Miss Tidy, Roelene. How are you today?
Hey, I'm very well today. It's a beautiful day outside, so I can't complain.
It's
How are
yeah,
you, Anthony?
oh, fantastic. I'm loving this bit of sunshine after what we've been through with all the floods and excess rain. And so it's so nice to have a little bit to be able to wake up and see the sun and see the stars at night and the moon. It's beautiful. So there's a little side of Roelene that you probably didn't hear about in the bio. It's her acting career. So Roelene is an actor. So I'm going to ask her, the first question is just tell us a little bit more about your acting career.
Oh, yeah. So my acting is another one of my big passions. I guess I've always loved acting since I was young. I remember falling in love with it ever since the first, play we had at school. And this is like, how old was I? Probably 7. And our parents dressing us up in little bee costumes. And I was just so excited. I remember I had one line in the play and I got to just shout it from the stairs on the stage. It was so exciting. So I think ever since then, being introduced to drama and performance, I just loved it. And I basically every school holiday, I was doing an acting course. I was in an acting workshop for a few weeks, or every weekend I'd be there, or it was a full week, and it was with no one I knew. So it was never with friends or um, people from school. It was outside of school. I'd have to make new friends, and I don't know, I just love performing. So I was in every school play, every house play, and I was just doing it all the time. So I did drama all the way to HSC, graduated with it. And then as soon as I finished school, I moved to Sydney. I was in Perth. I graduated in Perth. I moved to Sydney literally the same year. So I finished my exams in November. I was in Sydney in December. I was like, see ya. I was 17 and I was like, I want to go act, so I moved to Sydney. And yeah, I've just been pursuing it ever since then with, other things and trying to start my own businesses. It's always been in health as well. I'm very passionate about health. And a bit of modeling as well. And then I kind of had to put it on pause for a bit to go study a real degree in a completely different direction. So I had to put it on pause for a bit, but I'm back in it now and it's just so much fun. I think what I like about acting is that, I get to learn like continuously. The learning with acting never stops because It's basically, and people don't realize this, like acting isn't pretending, acting is living truthfully in an imaginary circumstance. So you're actually, people think you just learn how to act, but you're actually learning about the human condition. Because without knowing yourself, knowing what makes you tick, knowing what makes other people tick, knowing your trauma, what you love, what you hate, you can't give people a truthful performance, and you can't tell a proper story. Like, people will see you being fake. So to be real, you have to actually give a piece of yourself to everything you do and every character you play. And to be able to give a piece of yourself, you have to be in touch with yourself. And to be in touch with yourself, it's like you have to do like basically personal development. So when you do acting courses, you're basically in a personal development course, which I think why it's so cool for people who even don't want to be an actor to do acting courses, because you should just learn a lot about life. So it's really cool, and it's a forever learning process. And you kind of, you get to be, you get to live different lives in one career. So you get to be you as a mother, you get to be you as a victim of some crime, you get to be you as a firefighter, as a doctor, you know, all a drug addict, like all these different things. You get to experience what those life experiences are like without having to be that person. And I think that is so cool. So yeah, it's a bit about my acting. Oh, there's so much more to say, but I won't.
I know it's intriguing, and it's
Yeah.
really fascinating because what I've really connected with what you shared was around having to be truthful in an imaginary role, and that requires understanding of self, and that's where you had to go on this self exploration journey, self discovery. What was most profound to you that came out that you realized in that journey that you've been through?
I think it's like something that I really became in touch with was my fears. And we all have them, but some of them are so deeply rooted in you that it's not just something you think about, but it does actually drive you in your life. You know, fear of abandonment, fear of scarcity, um, fear of, you know, losing people that you love, all that kind of thing. And in your daily life, if someone asked you, oh, is this something you're scared about? You're like, nah, don't think about that ever. But if it really comes to you being in a situation where that isn't a real possibility, conscious possibility, you realize how much you have that fear. So I think it was about getting in touch with my, people call it, I don't know, general people might not know this, but like your inner child, which everyone has, and it's a part of you that's active all the time. And it's kind of like the fears sit with that person. It's your inner child that's just scared of all these bad things happening. And I think it's very scary and it's very confronting. But as an actor, you have to be brave enough to acknowledge that, sit in it, feel it, and everything you feel and you experience, even though you're an imaginary circumstance, it's real because you've made it real for yourself in that time period that you're performing. So it's pretty crazy. Like, and then when they say cut, you just would be like, you have to shake it off and go, it's not real. I'm fine. I'm back to me. What? Which is just bizarre. It's like an emotional roller coaster that you have to be in control of, but also not control, if that makes any sense.
It does, and what's interesting for me is how you manage that transition, because I'm thinking there's certainly the listeners that go through different transitions in every day. They will go from being a mother or a father into the work environment where they're the CEO or a managing director or whatever, and then they go back into the home role. So there's constant transitions throughout the everyday life, and so they need to wear a different hat and perform in those various tasks. And so I'm wondering what helped you in these transitions where you got deeply engrossed in that person and the fears and living out that imaginary. How did you get back to being Roelene Coleman?
It's honestly, it's practice. You have to practice snapping yourself out of it. Um, everyone's different. Some people find it very easy, but some people take a little bit to shake it off. But it's a concentration thing, is what it really is, just concentration. So if you can be focused and concentrated enough, then you can switch it off and go, all good, this is where I am, let it go. And you just have to like breathe it, shake it off. Like I did a scene that was quite upsetting the other day, and as soon as they pressed cut, I felt like I was going to cry. The whole scene I was holding in my emotions, and then as soon as they pressed cut, I was like, whoa, and I just had to like shake it off and like get your body back, put it back in your body, that you're just like fine. And that's sort of how you do it. But everyone has different stuff. Some people, like, if you play a certain character for an extended period of time, you might, go away with family or spend some time just with family. Don't look at your phone, don't look at technology, read a book, do something that's do something that's light and like happy and fun. And I think that's what people do if they get really into it. But yeah, everyone's different. Some people literally change themselves. And sometimes your personality will change a little bit if you've experienced quite a contrasting type of character to you. You'll take on certain ideals, or because you've learned something, you're kind of growing at the same time, and you might change a bit. It's pretty bizarre. Acting is like, once you delve into it, you're just, whoa, it is. People think it's just like people like running around, jumping and saying weird shit. It's not, there's so much to it. I feel like a psychologist to myself.
Well, it's so important in life because we, don't really, we're too scared to go inward, and we
Yeah.
often ignore it. And, when it arises, or a certain thought or the inner critic raises its voice, we tend to run from it, and we don't sit with it. We don't listen to it, and we don't question it, and we don't learn to, coping mechanisms to deal with it. And I think what I'm hearing is that you have to face that, and you have to deal with it. And
Yeah.
as you said, it's through practice and techniques that you've learned, whether it be breathing or shaking it out or just doing something that, I guess, refocuses you.
Mhm.
So it's sort of going from that acting focus, where you're very in the here and now in that acting role, and then you switch into a new focus, whether that be a little jiggle like you did, or a little dance. Yeah, so and I think these are the really fundamental tips for life skills, is in terms of, in order for us to be at our best and at our emotional best, we need to be able to switch from a phone call that wasn't all that great into a friend we haven't caught up. We don't want to take that bad conversation on that phone call into this catch up with a friend that we haven't seen for a while.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you can take the energy from that into, and so I can see how this translates very much into everyday life skills. Because we're performing different acts,
Oh,
or
everyone's acting all the
yeah,
time. Yeah,
yeah.
it's true. Everyone's acting.
Like I am when I put my earphones on and get
Yeah,
out the
lost Anthony now.
yeah, get out the microphone. Yeah, absolutely, I'm in
Yeah,
podcast mode.
yeah.
And then I take this off, and I might be going to pick up the children from school. So yeah,
Mhm.
and again, I got to learn how to switch that focus.
Yeah.
And you mentioned some techniques there, breathing, and just whatever helps you get back into another here and now moment outside of what you're doing.
And you know
So,
what? I think also when the thing of with acting that can translate to real life, of going, this is real, this isn't. It's people who, uh, which is everyone, when you start worrying about stuff, or worrying about something that could happen or possible thing, because we worry about stuff that hasn't happened yet. That's what we really worry about. um, and it's kind of going, and I do this in my normal life as well, and with my friends, when I see them worrying, I go, it's no use putting yourself through this twice. You'd rather just go through it when it's actually happened. But before it's happened, it's not real. It hasn't happened. It's not reality. Stop worrying about it. And you just need to be able to focus your mind and tell yourself, this isn't real. This isn't real. I'm worrying about something that hasn't happened yet. I might as well be present and enjoy my life right now before I need to deal with that stuff, you know? And it might not ever happen. And then you've wasted all that energy. So I feel like that's really translated for me from my acting to my real life, is just knowing what's real and what's not real.
It's a great point, because that's, living in the future is where we often get stuck. And particularly when, adversity hits, such as COVID, we're sort of anticipating the future, but it hasn't happened. You get what I mean? We actually, no one knows what the future holds. And so you can only live in the moment and control what you can do in that moment. And, you have to let the future just play out. I think that's really valuable, because I can imagine in acting, if you're thinking about, oh, I don't know if I'm going to remember the forthcoming lines, and you start
Yeah.
worrying about that, I can guarantee you're not going to remember them, are you?
As an actor, you can't be in your head. You have to be in your body, because that's where instinct is. And great actors, they know their lines, but they act from instinct in the moment, which is how we all do in real life, right?
Yeah.
We react off people and other things. That's how we live.
Yes.
So you can't foresee everything you're going to do. Like, I don't know what I'm going to say next. I'm just saying it based off what you're asking me, what you're giving me. And that's what it is. We just have to go with the flow and just be, that's art of letting go. Is not just in organizing, it's in life in general. It's like, I can only control me. I can't control everything else. So for me, the better way of living is just letting it go and saying, what will be will be. I've done everything I can.
So let's get into the subject matter of the art of letting go.
Yeah.
What's really helped you? Because obviously, in order for you to share it with others and to help others let go of their clutter, their hoarding, what have you done, and how do you help others in doing this?
For me, I'm naturally such a worrywart and a stress head, because I'm very organized, but I have a lot on. Like, I'm always doing a lot of stuff, and I get so easily wound up really tight and going, oh, I can't do everything, and it's so much work, and I have no time to relax, and I needed to learn, one, prioritizing the important things in life first. You can't do everything. And I think in today's society, where everyone is so busy, it's important to go, if you find yourself overwhelmed, it's important to go, do I need to do all the things I'm doing? Is there anything I can let go of for now? Until I get grips of everything again. Is there something that can wait? And let that go, because you will feel better about being in control of your schedule and your life than missing out on maybe something. It's going to be so much better and sustainable for you to do that. So that's something I've done. There's so much I want to do, but I just have to go, what's the most important? So that's helped me to stop worrying. And also just my motto is, it is what it is, and everything happens for a reason. So knowing that sometime in the future, I will be able to look back and know why that thing happened, lets me feel better, going, I'm going to learn something from this. I don't know what it is yet, but I know I will. So I'm just it's happened, deal with it, and make the best out of your situation. So that's something, those two things, prioritizing and just letting be what is, that's kind of helped me to let go and not be so stressed, because I've recently made a shift and I feel so much better. And I can't tell you, can't recommend it enough to do that. Look after yourself, do what's right for you, because you can't look after other people if you're in disarray. It's just going to leak out of you everywhere. Like my friends used to be like, she's so wound up tight, don't bother, really, she's gonna snap. And now I'm just like, whatever, man, let's go do it. So, and I'm still doing a shit ton of stuff, but my mind is in a much better space.
It's magic, that, being able to let go, prioritize, and really focus on what's important. And I think that's what we lose sight of, is what's important. We generally, saying yes because of this fear of missing
Yeah.
out, as you mentioned, and we take on too much, and then we often running around and we're not enjoying anything, because we just think, we get to a function, we think, but within an hour I've got to be at this next one. You start thinking about the next function. You start thinking, how am I going to get there? And probably not going to make it on time. And and so you're not really enjoying the experience. And I thought you brought up a really good point, is that more of letting go, and I can only control what I can control, and sort of going more with the flow. And it reminds me of that Steve Jobs's quote where he says, go with your heart, follow your heart, and don't question it, just go with it. And it's when you look back in time that you'll realize the connections between what you've done. That path will be clearer, whereas at the time that path isn't extremely clear. It's always a bit cloudy. And if you just follow that intuition, as you said in acting, you got to get out of your head and more into your body and experiencing, and connecting with your senses. That's when you're truly living, is when we're in the here and now, connected with our senses.
Yeah, you just gotta, I think everyone would do a lot better in life if stopped over analyzing everything and tried to get all the answers, because we're never going to have all the answers. And sometimes you just have to go what feels right, even if you don't know what it's going to turn out like, or if it is the right thing to do. I think our intuition knows what we need. So that's something I've done as well. I'm one of those people who just goes, this feels right. And someone will go, oh, I don't know, but what about this? I'm like, I'm just going to do it. I don't need to. Why don't you research it? Nope, don't need to. I'm just going to do it. That's me. And it's worked. It's really worked. Led me on a path I need to go, even though it's been scary and risky, and like starting my business. I'm like, oh, it's the middle of COVID, but you know what? I just feel like it's like something I need to do. And I just did it. And it's been fine so far. And even the businesses I started before and they didn't turn out, I've learned so much. And it's, even though like I lost a bit of money and it was, like it was really hard and I wish it worked out. Now I have all this knowledge that I didn't have before. That's going to help me make this business into a better thing, better entity, like make it work better. I understand so much more. Everything's a learning opportunity. So it doesn't really matter if you screw it up. You're learning, you're developing your character. We have to learn. If we don't learn, we'll just stay the same forever.
Absolutely. And
Right.
the only constant in life is change. And if we're not open to changing ourselves, then there's no joy, is there? Really?
We're just gonna live in fear, being like, don't change anything, stop it. Like how those people you always get, like it's usually the older folks. I don't want to bag anyone, but like when the council puts up, like changes a road, or Facebook changes its format or something, people just go, oh, what is this? I hate this. And then they'll write complaints and why did you change it? I can't deal with this. It's like, you're so much time and energy you've spent doing this, and you can't change what's changed. It is what it is now. Move on. And we do eventually, because we have to. But we like to kick up a fuss, don't we?
Absolutely. And, we saw that, what we're still currently experiencing is the COVID pandemic. And, it would have had an effect on your acting career and acting opportunities. And, well, that's probably an interesting conversation in itself. But, we couldn't change it. The virus is out. The cat was out of the hat or whatever. Yeah. And we had to just go with it. And then, you heard of people saying that, focusing on the doom and gloom and the negativity of it. And then you had others really thinking, oh, this is not so bad afterwards. I'm actually enjoying working from home because I'm spending more time with my children. I have the time to exercise, because before I was commuting a couple of hours a day and that was just a waste of time. And now that couple of hours I can be out exercising, I can be out buying healthy foods, I can cook them. And so, some people got really healthy, during COVID, because they found that they had more time, when they were able to work from home. So that, there's certainly within anything, there's always pros, and there's always not so good elements. But
Everything in life is perspective. It's your attitude you choose to have towards what happens to you. You can't control what happens to you, but you control how you react to it. So you had people who gained weight and were miserable during COVID, and you had people who lost weight and got healthier and made better choices in their life and had better relationships. Even though they couldn't see people, their relationships got better. Or, or then you have people that, divorced and really badly. But it's how you decide to react to things in your life. So, you could have gone, oh, well, COVID's hit. It's it could be so terrible for me, or I can do things I've always wanted to do, and I can learn skills I've always wanted to learn, and I can spend more time on myself and my self-development and whatever. It really is. It's like, and some people get it really tough. But, if you choose to look up, keep your chin up, then your life, you're going to see sky instead of mud on your feet, but they're both there. So that's why I'm always saying it is what it is. Do the best you can with it.
absolutely, you've dealt a set of cards and you can only play the best way you can play them. And everyone's dealt their own genetics, and we should appreciate those genetics we've been given, because they're completely unique, and there's completely unique talent within every one of us. And we tend to just look at what we don't have, and instead of focusing on what we do have around our genetics, and that can be including the way we look, our body shape. It can be including how we metabolize food, and health conditions, and
Yeah.
it all plays a role. But we just got to deal with what we've been given, and optimize the talents that we have, that is, and why compare ourselves with others,
Yeah,
when
genetics aren't the same. You can't be the same as people because we're literally biologically not the same.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I was you mentioned that thing of focusing on what you can control, and you are in control of your choices and your decisions. And that's so, like, in terms of where we should focus our energy is what we can control. And as you said, you made a shift, and you can control your health, you can control how you respond to situations. And another element that's in our control is how our house looks, and how our business looks to our clients. And so really keen to get into the art of organization, and because obviously you shared so much of us about the art of acting, and the I guess the self-development that's come of that, and how important it is, and your life experiences. But this art of organization isn't, some really struggle with it, and so I'm really keen to explore how you can help people better organize their workplace so that they feel better and happier.
Yeah. So I think I know, like, a lot of people struggle with being organized. They just can't see, they can't see the end result. They can't imagine it. Everything's just a mess. And I know this because I live in a share house, and I have two roommates that are they'll just like leave everything lying around, and it just, everywhere they go, things just turn upside down. And but then they also don't like it that way, but it just ends up that way. And to go, okay, organize it, they kind of will go, what do I do? I don't know what to do. My housemate come into my room all the time and go, it's so nice in here. I just want to lie on your bed for a minute, because her room is like baskets of laundry everywhere, and it's just, the bed is a mess and the side table is a mess. And I just go, well, just pack away your stuff, you know, but it's so much, I can't deal with it. It's kind of what it turns into. But everyone can be organized. So I think organization comes from a fundamental need for order and cleanliness. Some people have that naturally in their bones, like me, and some people don't. But it's something that benefits everyone. So I inherited this need from my mum. So I always say she has undiagnosed OCD, but you know, who knows? But she was a housewife, and she looked after us, my brother and I, and it was just, everything was always immaculate. And she hated stuff, you know, she hates keeping stuff that have no meaning. People are like, oh, this is a nice little statue thing, and she'd be like, no, it's just a dust gatherer. That's what she calls them, dust gatherers. Like, I wouldn't get that. How would you clean it? That's always her question. I can't clean this. Like chandeliers. She's like, how am I supposed to clean a chandelier? Why would you have that? So that was my mum. So now I see things that way as well, because that's the kind of question she would ask before she bought something. And also, do I need it? My mum was not one for shopping. She makes her own clothes. She doesn't even like really buy things for herself. Because she's a minimalist, I'd say. She has stuff, but she doesn't just buy just because it's nice. She's like the fundamental, like, she is like a walking, talking Marie Kondo. She's like, do I need it? Do I use it? Do I like it? So I got it from my mum. But look, even the average person can be organized. Even the messiest people can be organized. All you need to do is to keep things simple. Like, keep your space simple. Don't overcomplicate, don't overcrowd, you know, and make sure you have systems in place for your whole life, for your house, your business, your schedule, whatever. All of it. If there's a system and you have the discipline to follow the system, then you're organized. You can be organized. It can be as simple as just going, okay, everything has a place. My dinner plates go here. The drinking glasses go here. This is where the baking stuff goes. This is where I hang my coats. You know, this is where I put my keys in my wallet. Like, it has a place. So if it's not in that place, you put it in the place. So that's as easy as what a system is. It's just, where does everything go? You know, where does it go when I'm done using it? Where does it go when it's clean? Where does it go when I'm using it? That's it. It's not intimidating. It's not complicated. It's very simple. So if you can do that, then you can be organized.
And in terms of, you mentioned that vision, like people struggle with envisaging it being nice and tidy, and some people really have a knack for that. Is that something that's learnt, or, you know, it's something that you can't, and, you know, certain people can and can't, you know, like, I'm just thinking, like, you can straight away look at a room and see it's messy, but you can see what it can, you know, what it could be in terms of your process through systemization.
Yeah.
Is there some magic around that?
I think I'm a visualizer. That's how I learn. I have to say, I've always, like in acting as well, like when I have to get into a character, I always see it in my head. I see the situation. I play out the story as a movie in my brain. So I'm very visual. Not everyone's visual. So that's why not everyone can just stand there and go, I can see it. So I think that's something you either have or you don't. But if you can't figure out how to organize your space, we live in a great time of technology. Jump on YouTube, and there's so much on there for people organizing different rooms in their houses, or even paperwork and all that stuff. Just grab some inspiration from there and go, oh yeah, I like that. I'm going to do that. You know, for your pantry, be like, I like how they use the boxes. I'm going to go buy some and do that. And then that's going to help you to figure out how to do it, or what it's going to look like for you. So you can always just go online. Me, I literally just go, sometimes I don't even know what it's going to look like until I'm doing it. So until I'm actually organizing it, like, this is especially for other people's stuff. My stuff I know because I see it all the time. But other people's stuff, sometimes I go, what are you going to do? And I go, I don't know, you'll see when I'm done, and I'll just start and then I'll go, oh, okay. And then I want to roll. I don't know how I do it, but you can do it even if you can't see it.
Yeah, so that's really, you've got this real inside talent that you possess that is really coming into play there in terms of, you make a start and then all of a sudden, the vision just appears and you just go bang, 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 bang. And then all of a sudden it's in this amazing state. And
Yeah.
I can imagine that's where people really trip up or they think it's too hard, is that point of starting, right? It's sort of, well, where do I start? It's, it's just a complete mess. So in terms of that systemization, is it through, do you sort of say, well, what's your routine? Like, I mean, you come home, you put your keys down. So therefore the keys need, the key place needs to be here. And do you sort of map out the customer experience, or what's the?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to. Everyone's lives are different.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, how about you put your keys here? Oh, I can't because I have young kids and they're probably going to put the keys in their mouth. Okay, cool. Find a different place. What makes sense for you in your routine and your household? Like, okay, if you don't need to have the swimwear stuff at the door, let's move it, or, oh, we need backpacks in the lobby closet because we grab them as we leave. Okay, cool. We'll find a place for them, even though that's not where I would normally say they go. So yeah, every person you have to figure out what works for you, because if it's not convenient, you're not going to stick to it.
Absolutely.
Everyone as well, everyone that lives in your house or shares your space, everyone has to be able to follow the system. And I think maybe when you're thinking about more than just yourself, it can get tricky to figure out a system that works for everyone, and people might get stuck there. But sometimes it's trial and error,
Absolutely. I can see how it's so individualistic in terms of your approach, because everyone has a different layout in their house, for example, a different routine in terms of what they do when they get home, and then, as you said, it's got to fit in with the household itself. It's got to work. It's got to be functional, practical. Otherwise, it just doesn't get applied.
No, I'll put it there, and then it will never be followed, and then I've wasted everyone's time. Yeah.
And so, so I'm thinking those people that are really stuck and just can't get started, that's essentially where you come into play, right? It's sort of, well, I come into your house, and what's the process of engaging your services?
Oh, I usually, in the beginning, when people inquire with me, it's usually just like, send me photos of the space you need help with. And then I can start thinking about, also, what do you want to do with your space? What do you want to use it for? Or do you have a vision for it? And then I can start thinking about what I can do, things I might need. If I think I might need to buy some storage items or install something to make the space work, I organize all that before usually. And then on the day, I have a system and it works for everywhere. And luckily, the only part I need the client for is just to choose what they're going to throw away and keep. I pretty much unpack the whole thing. I strip the room bare. And I put everything into categories like, oh, this is camping, that's kids' toys, that's whatever. And it goes into categories. And then the client chooses what they want to keep and throw. And then I repack everything back in a different way that makes sense. Like I'm very much about like flow and chi. Like you got to have flow in a space because everything is energy. And if you have a room or something that has blockages and it doesn't make sense, like you're always like, oh, this is a bit awkward, then that's the energy you're going to have when you're in that room. So it needs to flow. So that's also another thing people don't always know to think of, or how to apply flow. But we're all flow, energy in, energy out all the time. So that's another thing that kind of gets in there. And I usually like transform spaces completely. I did a garage where it was chock and block to the ceiling with stuff and there was nowhere to walk. And I basically made into like a second kitchen. There was so much storage in there when I was done. They actually had the space to take stuff out of the house and put it in the garage. And it was just this, they just walked in going, whoa, like, yeah, this makes sense. Oh yeah, do this. Oh, wow, I can use this now. This is nice. Like, yeah, it's a usable space now. And it's just crazy how people just, they can't even imagine it changing to anything else because they're like, this is impossible.
So you essentially make people's houses bigger in a way, because
I do.
they'll have these rooms where they just throw stuff in there because they haven't got anywhere to put it, so it just gets thrown into the room, and then they're too scared to walk in that room, so that room's never used. It's just storage. Like I see garages, like, so the car never goes in the garage because it's just where they put everything because they don't know where to put it in the house. So you would actually create a bigger house through your systems and processes.
Literally, like people are so, even I surprise myself sometimes how much storage I create just by decluttering and going through everything and packing it differently. Even if I don't throw anything away, just the way you store it can create space. You know, there's there's always a smart way and a space saving way to organize your things. Even without throwing stuff away. So that's another little art that comes in handy. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and that requires that visionary skill that you possess, is to really see, well, as you mentioned, to be able to look at a room and see how the energy is best going to flow in that room, so that people feel welcome when they walk in the room, and they just, I guess the room moves them around within it. So, and I was thinking of an analogy for what your process was. It is very much that mindfulness, that decluttering, so that when how you mentioned you empty the room. So, at the end of the day, we have that cluttered mind because we've been, for all these sensory inputs have been feeding our
Oh,
mind, and often we don't have any breaks during the day. So we haven't had time to process all this sensory information. And it's often at night when we're lying in our beds that we start to process all this clutter. And that's why, people lie there for hours thinking, I can't sleep. And it's because they're so active processing.
yeah.
Whereas if they had that little time before bed where they let go, like decluttered the mind, like you do the room, empty it out, and then just allow back in what you want in there, as opposed to the things that you don't like in there that ruminate in your mind. So that's what I was thinking. It's sort of a nice analogy to mindfulness.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to get everything out and go, okay, I'll keep this, I'll keep that, I'll keep this. This is useless. I don't need that. I don't need to think about that. I don't need to keep that. Throw it away. And then, yeah, and then you're just gonna have more space in there. Or go, I need to keep this, but I don't need to worry about that till next week. It goes in the storage box at the back.
So I'm thinking there's plenty of people out there that are listening that's just thinking, nah, that room is just too difficult for me to tackle. I just don't want to go in there. It brings bad energy, makes me feel bad. And they're going, well, how do I get hold of Roelene Coleman to come in and just clean the space, let the energy flow through the house, and create more space in my household? So how can the listeners best connect with you?
So they can just follow me on either Instagram or Facebook. My Facebook handle is organiseyou.au, and that's organized with an S. We're Australian. And Instagram is organise_you_au. So you can message me on either platform. I also have a website, organiseyou.com.au, and you can message me through there. You can also go there to check what services I do and sort of an idea for what it entails. But yeah, I customize my service for anyone, and even if you just have questions, I'm happy just to give advice on what you might need to do. I'm just like, it's such a hard thing, and people need all the help they can get. So yeah, just shoot me a message.
And so you very much specialize in the household and the workplace. So it's both
Yeah,
sort of environments is where your specialty is.
yeah, exactly. And even personal can be your house, and it can also be yourself, like your schedule. If you just don't think you have enough time to do everything, if you have certain things you'd like to achieve and you don't know how to get there, I'm massive on like goals and actions for those goals and timelines and so I can help with that even, or just helping you prioritize and move your schedule around that works better for you. Business can be either literally ergonomics, like the physical actual organizing, or can be helping you with systems. Like, are your systems working? Like your processes, your operations, is it running efficiently? Do you have employees, but you're still doing all the work, or something's not working? So, putting better systems in place. If you have internal audits, that's something I can help with as well. Making sure you're compliant, like all that stuff that sometimes slips between your fingers and you just don't know how to find the time to do it or how to do it. I can help with that as well. So it's like a whole range of things, really.
So it's really the master of simplicity. So, you can
And
simplify.
efficiency.
Yes, efficiency. Absolutely. Yeah. So,
Work
and
smarter, not harder, you guys.
exactly. There's plenty of complex things in the world that we need to make easier for us in order to live better lives. And so I'm thinking, if you're struggling to tackle that complex problem at your house, which is that room, then certainly reach out to Roelene. I'll include her links to a social media and website in the show notes, so you can just click on the links. And Roelene, do you have any closing thoughts or comments you want to leave the listeners with?
Yes. So if you're going to tackle this by yourself and you go, I'm going to give this a go, I'm going to go through my wardrobe, I'm going to go through the storage room, be prepared for unexpected emotional attachment. We don't realize it because these are things we've forgotten about, or we haven't looked at that coat from your grandma that you've kept for 10 years. We attach to things without knowing. And so I'd say be prepared to have to make a decision about something that you have emotional attachment to, but that's not serving a purpose for you anymore. And have a plan for it. You can always put anything you are unsure about in like a separate pile and get a friend to help you. Get a friend that really knows you and will be honest, but also empathetic, that can help you go through the I don't know pile, so that you can, not spend hours deciding about one thing. You can just do all the organizing, decluttering, and get to your difficult pile later. The pile you think, yeah, it's very hard for you to let that go. Get a friend to help you, bottle of wine, pop it, have a few laughs, and then make a decision. You're going to feel better in the end once you've done it. Trust me, it's going to be like an elephant's been lifted off your shoulders. And also, don't underestimate the power of being in an organized and clean space. The environment you're in most will shape your mental state and how you feel. We see that with the people we hang around. Your job, is it stressful? Is it not stressful? That affects you massively. Family conflict or tension, it really affects us mentally, the space we're in. And that's physical, emotional, mental space, all of it. So it's really, all those things are no different to being in a clean or organized home or office. So your home should be your haven, and your office should be a place you feel good sitting in all day, to be honest. You don't want it to drain your energy. You want it to give you energy. And that's possible, by the way. So if you shape your environment, you can shape your mind.
Love that closing comment. So thank you so much, Roelene, for sharing all this knowledge and the art of letting go, the master of simplicity, all these life skills that you shared with us in terms of what's helped you, become a better version of you. There's all helpful techniques for all the listeners to take away from this episode. So listeners, if you really like this episode, please show that, like it, share it with others that could also benefit, and leave a review, because that helps it get rated higher so that more people can benefit from this excellent expertise that Roelene shared with us today. And stay tuned for more insightful episodes of Me and My Health Up.